I'm going to show you my new storage shed here for the Homestead. And if you're needing something quick and easy to put up, I hired this all installed and put up and everything. But these guys come out and they installed this in I mean, less than, I'd say, a couple of hours. They had this thing all put up, and I had it boxed in totally to protect the sun. This end right here is the south end, and as the sun comes around, I wanted to keep the sun off of my equipment. And anyway, this put me a couple of gates on here to keep the cows out of here. These ornery old calves, they try to get into everything. So anyway, they it's messing with my camera a little bit, trying to get things adjusted. But anyway, I put this little these two gates up, a small one. I'm gonna park my lawnmower out here too. And as you can tell, this was 18 by 21 wide, and I wanted to be able to get at least 3 different things in here. I bought a new sprayer. I've been going to do a video on this, but this summer I bought this spray rig to also, and I wanted to keep it in the weather. And if you do have a spray rig for your pasture, you may want to make sure and drain it. This one has a little place right here for a filter to go into, and make sure you take that out. Just a quick note, if you're watching and you've got some kind of equipment, make sure you get it winterized, because that time is up on us. But anyway, I wanted to keep my welder in here, and first day I parked it in here, I didn't have these gates up. I just put the gates up last Saturday. I had this in here for a day or two, and these goofy cattle come in here and had the welding helmet and everything drug off. So but anyway, I'm planning on this back wall back here to put shelves all the way across. And I've got I'm gonna buy all metal shelf stuff that won't rot, and I'm gonna move my fuel out here. I've got my fuel in a overhang by my big shop, but I've always been concerned about fire. If something did happen in that fuel went everywhere, you'd sure have a blazing inferno. You would out here too, but this is out away from the house and everything. So anyway, wanted to keep this all in here. You can see just this summer, this hose reel is already starting to get chalky and come off. And this thing's automatic sprayer, has a sprayer on the back. I know this is a video about my shed, but I was just going to explain why come me to do this. I paid quite a bit of money for this little old rig, and I want it to last me for hopefully the rest of my life. It should, be minor repairs here and there, but that started discoloring, and I thought, I want to keep it in, and this old plastic will start getting brittle after a while. So I put it inside here and thought it would protect my investment a little bit. But and this thing too, you can fight grass fires with it. Now in the winter, you don't want to leave it full of water, but if it was a high fire danger time, I could fill this up with water and keep it parked in my shop or something, keep it heated so it wouldn't freeze. Or if it's in the spring times when we usually get most of our fires, and it's usually above freezing then, and that's when the vegetation's just ripe. And here in Oklahoma we get a lot of forest fires. And anyway, you can take this little hose reel here, it's got a sprayer deal here, and hook this thing up behind your tractor, and someone can walk along and spray water with that as you move along and put out fire. You may not be concerned about that where you live at, but here we have really great volunteer fire departments, and they come together and work and do a wonderful job. I just got off our department, but I'd been on it for a number of years, and they're very good. But sometimes there are a lot of fires going on, and they're spread thin, and different things happen if you had your own way of fighting a little bit. Besides, I use this thing to spray my pastures in the summertime to kill the weeds. I know some of you's probably all organic and against that, but I'll tell you, I've increased my grazing capacity here, and sometime I'll show the video maybe next spring when I'm using it. But I don't like having to use spray, but the weeds and stuff, it just seems like the weeds are really cut down. I might not have to spray every year, but I have been. I had an old junky sprayer, and it'd break down. I'd lose some of my poison spray out of it, and it just bugged me, so I got this new rig. But I wanted to keep it in here where it'll last. Also wanted to keep the welder in here so it'll last a while longer, hopefully. I hope it'll last as long as I'm around. But it comes in handy. I don't need it a whole lot, but when I do, but if it's kept inside, and it has been kept inside down at my dad's, but he needs his space, and so I said, well, I'll just move this down here. Also, it's easier for me to get a hold of here. I can just back right in here and get hooked up. But I'm gonna put shelves all back here. As you can see, there's still plenty of room behind here, so I'm gonna put a row of wire type shelves like you get at Lowe's is my plan if nothing goes wrong. I didn't want to use wood just because we had a fire burn up pretty close to the back of this last year, and of course this wasn't here then, but it had burnt right up to it. So with this metal, and if things are kept up off the ground, it would be real hard for the shed to burn anyway. Now, we would have to get the fire out, but it would help a little bit. I'll probably put a barrier around and keep it poison the grass back so the grass can't burn up in here next year. May even put something on the floor of this thing. But I just wanted to show you a little bit about our storage shed. And if you now, I have built a lot of sheds and different things here myself, but I needed something I thought kind of quick, and I was busy. And this thing, I mean, they put them up and it seems really sturdy and heavy duty. They did talk me into something. If you go buy one, they may ask you this, but I don't know if you can see that right down there in the picture. I was trying to get the camera to work here for me, but right down there is an anchor, and they've got two on each side. They talked me into some super strong anchors that drill in. It cost extra $100 or $25 a piece, and the guy said, I'll give them to you half off since you've bought so much stuff from us. But anyway, the other anchors go right down through that frame down there. They'll drill a hole and put one. They just drive it with a hammer. This one's actually screwed in. Here in Oklahoma, we get a lot of tornadoes and high winds. So I went ahead on this one. My other one, I had another one of these put in that's open, but the same size back earlier in the spring. And then I got the idea, hey, I had one put in for our cars to park in. And so I said, hey, I'll get one made for a little barn for storage. And so I did. And anyway, the one I have for a carport, the back and sides are not closed in like this. It's just the top. The guy says, whether he knows what he's talking about, but he said because I boxed that all in back here in the back, the wind would catch it more. So he said for $50 you can get these anchors that drill in instead. And but I'll tell you, those other anchors that they drive in with a hammer are probably just as good, because you can't hardly pull them things out of the ground. But anyway, I sure don't want it to blow away in a storm, and that being boxed in, that's the direction. Usually southwest here is where the storms come in here and the high wind, and boy, it'll get with it sometimes, so it'll kind of help hold my investment down. I was going to show you here this too, how I put this gates on. I just drilled through here with a 3/4 inch drill and put these all thread type. These gates come with a wood anchor that you can put into a wood post, but since this is steel, I went with this type of deal and just put a nut and a washer on there and tighten up. I'll probably cut these off right in there, take my grinder or something, cut that right off right there. But anyway, that's how I did my hinges, and it's pretty sturdy. I don't think it hurt the structure at all of the building. And I just put these old cheap type gates in here. I hope they hold up. This isn't a high traffic area for the cows, but so there's not a lot of pressure on it, but those they have been up here pushing on it already. This one here, I had a little bit of trouble the way it went in right on one of those ridges, and it bent that up. But since it's out here in the cow lot, I don't, or not cow lot, cow pasture, I really don't worry about it too much. Over here is where where I keep my fuel and stuff right now is over here in this shed. And this is my old spray rig, and as you can see, the wheel broke off of it. The axle sitting right here, and so I had to have it towed up here, and it was aggravating, and it's just a piece of junk. I am glad that I can retire it. The tank was getting brittle. I had repaired the tank. This was an old spray rig for row crops, and the wheels are made where you could adjust it in and out, and it just had a lot of problems. And so but anyway, I keep my tractor stuff under this overhang out here, and I keep my fuel up here as well, and my four-wheeler. But the idea is to get this fuel and a lot of this storage stuff out there in that shed and kind of clean this up a little bit. The cows like to get in here and when it's cold weather and get a windbreak, and I'll make a little more room for them. And I'm thinking about, if I can, I want to make an apartment out here under this overhang here. Hopefully if we get to do that, you'll get to see it in action. But my son, he's 20, and he wants to move out. Instead of him renting a place, I've thought about building a room out here in this. This is 30 by 12, 40 by 12 overhang here on this shed, and make him an apartment out here. But I had to really clean it up, and got a lot of work I'd have to do here, but that's kind of in the works. And anyway, maybe I'll get to do videos of that and show you as we go along what we're doing. But he wants to move out, and I was like, well, he could live here free of rent. He works with me and helps me and stuff. So but anyway, you can see my fuel storage here. Another thing is, the cows get up here. I keep about 8 jugs of gas and 4 of diesel on hand all the time, just in case something happens. And plus, it's really handy here on the farm to have stuff. But the cows get up under here and knock them around. I've never had them knock a full one off, but I have had them knock empties off. But I don't want to waste fuel, and I want a safer, better setup. But anyway, that's some of our thoughts and views here on the farm today. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I sure appreciate you tuning in, and hope you have a great day, and may God richly bless you.